Welcome. Today we are doing a deep dive into the Kramer VS-44UHDA. Now, on the surface, the spec sheet just calls it a 4x4 HDMI Matrix Switcher.
Right.
But when you actually look at the block diagram, that description feels like a massive undersell.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
Most people see 4x4 HDMI and they just think, 4 video sources to 4 displays. And sure, it does that.
And it does it well.
It does it very well, yeah. Up to 4K at 60 Hz with 4.2.0 chroma subsampling. But the architecture under the hood is so much more robust than your standard switcher.
I noticed that especially with the signal integrity. It's using Kramer's reclocking and equalization technology. For anyone dealing with long cable runs, that's not just a buzzword, is it?
Not at all. That's insurance, basically. It's not just passing the signal along. It's literally rebuilding the digital stream.
So it cleans it up.
Exactly. It gets rid of that digital cliff effect where a signal just drops out completely, or you get those awful handshake issues over distance. It makes sure the signal is pristine when it hits the display.
Which is absolutely critical when you just can't afford a blank screen in the middle of a big presentation. But let's get to what I think is the real hidden gem here, the audio routing. I was looking at the I/O, and the flexibility for a box this size is unusual.
It is. The audio matrix is completely independent of the video. You can de-embed audio from any of the HDMI sources.
And send it to an analog output for, say, a PA system.
Precisely. Or you can do the reverse embed an analog audio source, like from a microphone, into a video stream.
And the channel count is what really surprised me. To get to what's essentially a 12x12 audio matrix in a 1RU unit, how are they doing that?
Okay, so you've got the 4 embedded digital audio streams coming from your HDMI inputs. That's 4. Then you add the 4 discrete analog inputs. That's 8.
And the other 4 must be.
Ah.
The audio return channels, ARC.
That's the part a lot of other switchers miss. By integrating ARC as an input source, you can take audio from a smart TV's internal apps and route it back into your main system.
So you can send the Netflix app's audio to the main room speakers, not just back to the original source.
Exactly. And you have onboard DSP level control, balance, even bass and treble adjustments for every single port.
So you're basically saving rack space. You might not need a separate audio mixer for a smaller conference room or like a sports bar setup.
That's the entire value proposition right there. It condenses the rack, and it handles the automation side of things too.
The step-in over HDMI and active source detection.
Yep. So you don't necessarily need a complex, expensive control system for basic switching.
Let me see if I get this. So if someone unplugs the main room PC and plugs in their laptop,
the switcher can just prioritize the last connected device. It just works. It reduces those frantic calls to the IT department because a user can't figure out how to change the input.
But for the IT managers who do want that fine-grained control, it still has the full suite, right?
Oh, absolutely. RS-232, Ethernet, and some pretty comprehensive embedded web pages for remote management.
You can store presets. I think it was 8 of them.
8 distinct memory locations, yeah. So if you have a town hall mode versus a standard meeting setup, it's just a 1-button recall.
We found this unit listed over at HDTV Supply, and it's a professional-grade tool, so the price tag does reflect that. It's currently discounted at $2,448 from a list price of just over $3,000.
Which honestly is pretty competitive for a matrix that handles independent audio routing this well. And speaking of HDTV Supply, their reputation as a vendor seems incredibly strong.
I noticed that too. I was looking at the reviews. You don't often see customer feedback where people are actually name-dropping the VP of Operations, Rachel Christian, for personally helping them out.
That really stood out. I mean, when the executive team is getting involved in support to make sure the gear works for an install, that signals a level of reliability that's worth paying for.
Absolutely. Especially for mission-critical installs. It's a good reminder that while we all focus on the big flashy screens, the real hero is often the invisible traffic controller sitting in the rack.
Making sure the right pixel and the right sound wave get to the right place.
And doing it so seamlessly that nobody ever has to think about the complexity behind it all.
That's the mark of truly good infrastructure.
It certainly is. Well, that's our deep dive on the Kramer VS-44UHDA. Thanks for joining us.